Welcome to the Free Parking Show with Amos, Rich, Ryan, and Peter. Four sports journalists cover the world of sports with the utmost professionalism, or as much as they can muster after 5 beers.
Hello, welcome to the Sideline Journalist Show. I've got myself, Richard Pyle, Ryan Moreland, and Mitchell Reese on tonight. How's everyone doing?
Doing great, ready to talk some football.
We were, right before we came live to you, we were talking about the gentleman that had just passed away. It was tragic. Somebody give me the name. I did not write it down before we came on. Does anybody know off the top of their head? Played with, 9 years in the league or something like that? Him and his
Mr.
son.
Keon Carpenter.
Okay, him and his son, apparently, they were running they were playing around and running to his car. He slipped, fell, hit his head, wound up in a coma, and then passed away. Real tragic story. That's what we're going to lead off with tonight. You know, the deaths across the board from not only the world of sports, but celebrities in general. The passing of George Michael on Christmas Day, Carrie Fisher the day after, and then the following, like yesterday, Carrie Fisher's mom died as well. You know, it's just been a rough year for loss of celebrities, and you know, that's not taking away the loss of all the American soldiers. I think somebody had said 14 have died, 138 police officers have died. You know, the tragedy that's just been across the United States for this year has been phenomenally rough. I mean, it's been a rough 2016, guys.
Yeah, it has. It really has. It's been a year that we definitely won't forget for a while. As far as, you know, celebrity deaths go, social turmoil. You know, we've had the Black Lives Matter and the police force kind of at odds the entire year. It's definitely a year that'll go down in history for sure, and not for a lot of great memories. Glad to see that it's on its way out. But I didn't even hear about Keon. That's news to me. I didn't even see that. I've been kind of busy today, and very, very sad news. Yeah, I mean, especially the way that you just explained it sounds like a freak accident.
Yeah, it's basically what it was listed as when I was going over it. I was reading through, and they said a family called it nothing but a freak accident. You're just like, wow, really? Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, devastating, and obviously, you know, our hearts go out to their family and the Fisher family as well. You know, had a really rough Christmas, and George Michael and all of his family as well. I mean, just a rough couple of days for sure to end a year that was just a rough year for most.
But may we all agree, with great sorrow, we have to bring out the great football. So let's hop to it.
All right, let's hop to it. Top story for me was the thing going on with the Buffalo Bills. Rex Ryan, Rob Ryan, both fired. They didn't even make it a Black Monday, which is basically the league decides fire people the Monday after the regular season. They said, "Oh, you guys are gone." Also, within the announcement came Tyrod Taylor's benching. They said, "We're not gonna. If you get hurt, we're not gonna pay you all this guaranteed money." So it appears that not only have the Bills moved away from Rex Ryan, and, you know, me and Mitch were talking about this right before we got in contact with you, Ryan, that he has basically drove the Buffalo Bills to the ground, because we were talking about how Doug Marrone took that franchise over, you know, and they were competitive, they were winning, and you know, for whatever reason, he just said, you know what, screw it, I'm out. And now you look at Rex Ryan and Rob Ryan come in, and they drove it to the ground, and it's just like, where does Rex Ryan go from here? I've always thought he has been a great defensive-minded coordinator, running defenses. Yeah, he did go to AFC Championship game with the New York Jets, but, you know, it's one of them things that he had the pieces in place, and the next thing you know, they're at the bottom of the AFC East again. So, you know, you got to kind of start feeling a little bit bad for the Buffalo Bills as a franchise, Because now you look at what the Oakland Raiders have done over the last few years, who had the second longest playoff drought in NFL history. And now, it's basically the Bills still haven't been there in, 14, 15 years now. It's just been remarkable what they do. And, we were talking to the call Doug Marrone back. What do they do? And I said the first thing they're going to do is probably end up drafting a quarterback, because I don't think E.J. Manuel, I don't think Tyrod Taylor, or anyone else on that roster is the man that you want to hand these reins over to when you bring a new head coach in.
You're absolutely right on a lot of points here. Like, first off, this did surprise me a little bit. Not because... Also, I'll put it this way. The firing didn't surprise me because we've all heard about it's coming. I thought he was going to be fired 2 weeks ago. It does surprise me, though, that it happened this year. Just from how they played standpoint, this team is not that great. It's not like they're fantastic on paper and underperforming. They kind of performed about exactly where you expected them to. Maybe a little bit worse, but not much. So he doesn't have very much time in Buffalo at all to try to get his system in place, the kind of players he needs. But not that I have faith in Rex or Rob Ryan. This is just saying that, I'm just not a big fan of the trend of the revolving doors of head coaches where, if you don't have immediate success, you can go find another job. But for me, I just think that it just blows my mind that they keep getting opportunities, especially Rob Ryan. Because everywhere he goes, Rob Ryan has like a mediocre at best defense. And like at worst, they're the worst in the league, as we saw with a couple of the years that he was with the Saints. I mean, they were bottom of the barrel and defense, and almost all defensive categories. It just surprises me that, just because their dad was fantastic. There's nothing about Buddy Ryan that isn't true. He's just a phenomenal defensive mind, one of the best defensive minds we've ever seen play football. My favorite stat in the history of the NFL is from that 85 Bears team where Buddy Ryan was the defensive coordinator, and that is they scored more points than they allowed that season as the defense. Like, let that set in. They scored more than they allowed. I mean, just phenomenal. You'll never see that again. He was a great head coach. His two sons, Rex Ryan has had some success. Rob Ryan has not. Like, everywhere Rob Ryan goes, he's mediocre. And, at best, and sometimes very terrible. And it just keeps blowing my mind that just because they're Buddy Ryan's kids, they can keep getting jobs. Although I think Rex can make a great defense coordinator in the league, like you were saying. As for Tyrod Taylor, it's like a $30 million payout if he gets injured. So it's smart to set him here and bring in E.J. Manuel. Obviously, the Bills are at odds right now with Tyrod Taylor. Do not feel very good about him for the future. The fact that that's how they feel about Tyrod and they had him starting over E.J. Manuel tells you exactly how they feel about Manuel. That's the big thing is they need a quarterback to start with, and they went after E.J. Manuel early in the draft, and it hasn't worked out, and obviously isn't going to be the answer moving forward. A lot of people said that they should wait because that was a really weak draft class at the quarterback position, and they did not. They shot for him anyway. Ended up with Tyrod Taylor as their starter, and that's been leads us up to now. But this team is going into full rebuilding mode. I know that Bills fans don't want to hear that, but that's what's going to happen. There's not enough talent to not do it. And there are some players here and there that are really talented players, but a lot of guys are not, and most of your team's not. And it's time to go into rebuilding mode and restart and refresh. And the perfect way to do that's with the new head coach. I hope that they go out and get somebody great, though. Although I will say this, Doug Marrone might be staying in Jacksonville after that performance last week as the interim head coach with the Jags. It wouldn't surprise me as of now. I wouldn't say he's my leading candidate, but it would not surprise me after the way he turned that team around, the way they looked last week. If he performs well this weekend, I think you could probably label him as the favorite. But, I do hope that they get a great coach moving forward really turn the ship around, because those fans have to suffer through some of the coldest temperatures in all of the NFL. So they should be able to get a few wins every year, suffering through that miserable weather.
I got to agree with Ryan on a lot of things he said. Number one, I think Doug Marrone can stay away from Buffalo. I think that is for sure something that can happen. I don't think he is a candidate for that Jacksonville head coach, though. That'll come up a little later. But my take on Buffalo. Number one, go get you a pocket-style quarterback. Get away from the mobile guy. Get you a guy that's going to stand in there and be confident with the ball. Don't get a guy that wants to scramble all the time, run around. You got LaShawn McCoy for that. LaShawn McCoy can run forever. Don't worry about a quarterback that can run. You got Sammy Watkins sitting on the outside, and nobody wants to throw him the ball because they want to play happy feet with their feet and run around. You've got a defense that's decent at best. I need some help too. But the worst thing now, you just got rid of your head coach. You got an interim guy, Anthony Lynn. I don't think he's had much head coaching experience. And now you're putting him into a mix at an okay time with one game left. But the only fact of the matter is you don't have your true head coach. I don't think Rob and Rex Ryan were really much to begin with. But get this team figured out. There could be so much success in Buffalo, but nobody wants to figure this team out. Nobody wants to get it right. Rob and Rex can't get it right. Doug Marrone had it right and he left. He walked away from it. He got up and said, no, I don't want this anymore. I'm gone. Sayonara. Find somebody else. And they took the guy that went to the AFC Championship and was a part of the butt fumble movement. I believe that is what they went and found. But it's okay. They did it. They seen it was a horrible experiment. It was a bad move. Now they got to recuperate. Find yourself somebody who's going to get you a quarterback, make that quarterback work, get LaShawn McCoy involved, the defense around, and go win a couple games in the East. Because right now, with this team, you're not going to beat Belichick. You're not going to beat him. You get your defense working, you get your running game working, you get a quarterback that's going to stand in the pocket and throw the ball, you might have a shot.
Yeah, I agree with you there. One quarterback that comes to mind, coming out of college right now, University of Miami's Brad Hyatt. If he decides to come out, I think that's your pocket passer right there. Still think he needs another year of development under Mark Richt's tutelage, but we're going to talk about that along down the line when draft comes out. Item number 2, Tyler Lockett, David Carr, Marcus Mariota all suffer broken fibulas. I was like, is this thing like contagious or something? First game of the day, first it's Marcus Mariota. Then in the afternoon games, you see Tyler Lockett and David Carr go down, or Derek Carr, excuse me. I always get Derek and David confused because they're like literally identical twin brothers to me. Outside the fact that Derek plays football a lot better than David ever dreamed of doing. But, I think the injuries to Carr and Mariota obviously are a little bit more severe than what Tyler Lockett sustained. But it just so happened that all three of them with the same injuries was just kind of like, wow. I really feel bad for both the Titans and the Raiders organization because you're missing two key quarterbacks that obviously are, that were on the cusp of making the playoffs. That's how close it was. Well, Oakland made the playoffs, but now you're going into the game with Matt McGloin this Sunday against a stingy Denver defense, and you don't know what you're going to get with him, and you're playing for the first-round bye, which we're going to get into that a little bit later. But, for Marcus Mariota, he's still young, and I'm gonna let Ryan take the reins on this one, but for me with Mariota, it was like he went down, but at the same time, when he got hurt, they were down like 14 points. And we all talked about what Doug Marrone did to this Jaguars team, like gave it a shot of adrenaline or something, because they completely pummeled your Tennessee Titans, Ryan. But it's just remarkable about how bad these injuries have stacked up this year.
Yeah, it's a crazy weekend this weekend. For the Titans, they were down 15 when Marcus got hurt. And then, we'll see what they have with Matt Castle. Matt Castle came out on the first full drives right down the field, puts the ball in the end zone, and you're like, all right, Matt Castle, you're like, right on, buddy. And then the very next drive, first play, there was a pick six. So you kind of got to see both sides of that coin. But as far as Mariota goes, he had surgery on Wednesday. Everybody involved said the surgery went well. He had to get a plate put in. He's going to be out 4 to 5 months. That puts him back around OTAs. Obviously, the team hoping that it's right before OTAs. But we'll see what happens there. Obviously, a little bit more serious than Carr's break. Carr's was more of a straight line kind of fracture, where Mariota's had more twisting and involved, where it was not nearly as clean of a break. That's why they have to put the plate in. That's why it's going to take longer for him to recover. But it ended the Titans' season effectively. They have one more game, but it's meaningless now. They cannot make the playoffs. They're eliminated. And to add, insult to injury, pun intended there, they lose, your franchise quarterback for the rest of the season. A really rough time for them. But you look at the Raiders, and it's not like it's any better. I mean, this Raiders team lost, one of, if not the best player on their team. Carr's really stepped up and has really become the top young quarterback in the league. And that's what we're looking at right now is most people, myself included, I believe both of you agree, if you rank the top quarterbacks under 25, it goes Carr, Mariota at 1 and 2, and we see them both go down in the same week with the same injury. Really odd. But for Oakland, they play this next game with a chance to clinch home field advantage. And then also a chance to clinch the AFC West title division, because that's still not wrapped up with Kansas City right on their heels. And they have to start Matt McGloin. And then, when they do get in the playoffs and you move on from there, I mean, how far can you make it without Carr? This injury for the Tennessee Titans, it really sucks. But you were already down 15 in this game. And if you don't win this game, you have to have Cincy beat Houston, which obviously they don't, missing that last second field goal. So you have a team that, is missing the playoffs at effectively when Mariota goes down. And maybe he could have brought him back. Who knows? But they're missing it. Carr, there's no way that the Raiders are missing the playoffs. They're going to be in the playoffs no matter what happens. Are they going to have home field advantage? Are they going to be the second seed, or the fifth seed? We'll see. But this is a team that now, had Super Bowl aspirations. And now you have to imagine that they're completely gone. For everybody in the Oakland fan base, you can't imagine that they're real optimistic about their chances with Matt McGloin moving forward.
With the injuries piling up with Tyler Lockett, Derek Carr, and Marcus Mariota, you guys have talked about both of the quarterbacks, and I kind of want to take a minute and hit on the Tyler Lockett thing. I think Tyler Lockett's huge for Seattle. Good kick and punt returner. Good slot receiver. I think Doug Baldwin kind of is your outside guy for right now. Kind of would love to see them get a speedy guy for the outside. Bigger guy, maybe too. Guy that'll get up there, give Russell Wilson a little help, slinging the ball down the field outside of Jimmy Graham. It does a little bit for them. I think they've got enough offensive weapons. I think they'll win a good bit. But Derek Carr and Marcus, that hurts. a little bit Carr more than Marcus. And sorry, Ryan, no offense to the Titans. If they were in, I would say another story. I think Raiders can do fine. Not good, but fine without Derek Carr. Amari Cooper, Michael Crabtree, that defense, those guys kind of step up well. I think the Titans, I think they need Marcus. DeMarco's there. I don't know who else is there. I know Wesley Woodyard's there on that defense. Brian Arakpo, is he still there?
Yeah, Arakpo's there.
Okay, well, I mean, that's my question. Who's there on that Tennessee team? Who do we hear about?
Rashad Matthews had a marvelous season.
Yeah, Rashad Matthews is the first Titans wide receiver with 800-yard, 8-touchdown season since 2004.
Where did he rank against receivers this year? Over guys, I don't know, AB, Julio, OBJ.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like elite wide receivers, yeah. I mean, he's the number one wide receiver on a bad wide receiving core with a run-first offense.
I see what you're saying, but do we see what I'm saying here? Like, with Matt McGloin, I think the Raiders have an okay chance. I think Marcus was the heart of the Titans. I think Marcus was where it was with them.
The thing with Matt McGloin is, though, we don't know much about him. He's like the wild card here, and I think that's what you're getting at, because we all see Derek Carr has been the heart and soul of this offense. You know, we saw Matt McGloin almost slip and fall, get that first down. But the even bigger question, the Raiders, you know, what were they doing? You know, I think he got hurt like 12 minutes ago in that game, and you're up 2 scores. Not only are you keeping Derek Carr in the game, you're throwing the football like still nonstop. Knowing that, and that's a valuable question. Why was he still in the game that late, knowing as well as your defense was playing? Because as soon as Derek Carr got hurt, we saw, and this is the problem with the Derek Carr injury. Indianapolis was shut down completely. Derek Carr goes down, it's like the whole team lost like some sort of momentum, because Indianapolis almost came back and won that football game. So I don't think I think it's fair to say that this Derek Carr is as devastating as it is with the Titans.
I mean, I want to say it is, but what's the big thing right now? We're almost to the playoffs. And I get that, okay, it's nearly as devastating. If this was week 6, this would be equally as devastating. This is week 17. Marcus going down it's bigger. Okay, it's bigger there because Marcus is the heart of the Titans team. But Carr going down limits their offensive chances. Maybe I'll say it that way. I feel like the defense can step up, help the offense. With Marcus going down for Tennessee, it just, man, if they were in the position that the Raiders were in, I think the Titans are worse off than the Raiders.
Well, I think it hurts the Raiders more for not just the playoff implications, but the Raiders are a pass-first offense. Their offense runs through, and I know that they have a decent running game there. It's not great, but it's decent. With Murray, and they have a stable of backs behind him that are adequate. But it's a pass-first offense, so Matt McGloin has to come in, and all the pressure is going to be on him to perform well this season. Or perform well, I mean, not this season, but this postseason. And you look at Tennessee, Matt Castle comes in to a team, that doesn't need a win, but say if they did, comes into a team that runs the ball first anyways. I mean, look at Marcus Mariota's stats in the last 2 games before this when they beat the Kansas City Chiefs and beat Denver, and his stats are horrible. But he did everything he needed to win. He just needed to get the ball into Murray's hands, into Henry's hands, and the running game did all the work for them. You can't do that as Matt McGloin for the Raiders and expect to win.
And you think about this: your Pittsburgh Steelers, the New England Patriots, the Kansas City Chiefs, even the Miami Dolphins are hanging 30 and 40 on people. I don't think Matt McGloin, even with that Raiders defense, because that Raiders defense is good, but when you go up against powerhouses in the AFC, you're going to have to score points because Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, they're going to figure out a way to hang 30 or 40 on you. And if you can't match that, you stand no chance against them powerhouses.
Absolutely. I don't disagree.
And that's why I think this is more I think the devastation is just as bad. I guess we will find out Sunday night. Raiders at Denver. Moving on here, item number 3, Doug Martin suspended 4 games, entered treatment facility. Apparently this was for performance-enhancing drugs. We've all seen the song and dance. The weird thing is I don't know, this is the thing I've not heard on. I know that they had him inactive for last week's game, and I think they're going to try and work something out where that was part of the suspension, like he was a healthy scratch. The suspension came out. I actually think, if I'm not mistaken, it came out like right before the game, but they just named him inactive, and then after the week, they let him speak for himself, said, look, I was going to challenge this suspension, thought better of myself, I need to take care of my own personal health before I contribute anything else to the football team. I thought that was good on Tampa Bay to let him speak for himself instead of, trying to throw him under the bus, so I'm glad they let him speak like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is big for them. Doug Martin, obviously a big part of their offense. He's already entered himself into rehab, if I'm not mistaken. Which is obviously a good thing for this young man to get back. Get back as soon as he can. And it'll be interesting to see if they allow setting him out, the healthy scratch, moving forward or not. I'm excited to see, or interested to see if they let them allow that or not. Because I don't know, it's just a little underhanded. Maybe I'm wrong. If they knew that before, then why didn't they? Why wasn't anything said? I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens coming up for the future. But it's good to see a young man get the help that he needs, and hopefully for him everything works out and he moves forward from this. But I really don't think that matters that much for Tampa Bay. Everybody's seen the list now of everything they have to get done in order to make the playoffs. They have to have 2 teams tie in order to get in. Like, neither can win, for Christ's sake. I mean, it's like, I think it's 8 games they have to be watching this week in order to get in. I mean, it's insane. So it doesn't affect them this year, but it does affect them at the start of next year because this is an above average team. They're in that above average group, which means every game matters. You can't lose a head scratcher like the Patriots can, because the Patriots are going to win, 12, 13, 14 games a season. They can afford to lose a stupid game. If you're in one of that above average group, you can't. It's the difference of you making the playoffs and not making the playoffs. So it'll be huge for them next season.
I don't have much to say because I'll be honest with you, I haven't read enough on it. I like Doug Martin. I think he's a good running back. Get the help you need, kid. Come back out next year, run hard, play well, and hopefully people forgive you for what you've done. I believe everybody deserves a second chance in this league. I mean, for example, Le'Veon Bell, team I love the most, Pittsburgh Steelers. What do you know? Since week 11, over 800 rushing yards. Do we understand how amazing that is? That is 805 weeks. If he played this Sunday, could you imagine? That's another game against the Browns he could have. I think he could do phenomenal. The fact of the matter is, comparing that to Doug Martin, I think Doug Martin could do very similar, if not the same. I think Doug Martin's a great running back. I think he's a great north and south runner. I think he's got a lot of power behind him. I believe that offensive line needs a little help. Little, not much. He still gets up there in top 10. But you just give that offensive line a little help, and I think you see a lot of production out of that. Good running back. Great that he's getting the help he needs. Get out there, run hard, but make people forget about what you've done.
All right, moving on here. Number 4, 2 days ago, the Cincinnati Jungle, one of the fan-based Bengals articles came out and said Marvin Lewis is contemplating retirement. In fact, he's already out the door. Marvin Lewis, and the actual Cincinnati Bengals comes out and says, oh, that is not really what's going on. This was an interesting article because, this is a guy that we've been talking about for a couple of years now about he should have been fired years ago. So the retirement thing just kind of like, it was interesting to tie into the whole fact that he has just been underachieving in Cincinnati. Yeah, they make the playoffs, but he hasn't won a playoff game in his entire career there. I don't know why they continue to hold on to him. I believe he's like 0-8 in postseason play, but they win a lot of football games. So apparently the Bengals are just happy with mediocrity. But it was interesting because they swore him down, he was retiring. Then he comes out and says, no, I'm coming back for the 2017 season. A couple of my Bengals friends on my Facebook page are like, damn it, we can't get rid of this guy even when he wants to retire.
Let me play devil's advocate real quick. For Marvin Lewis, he has had a game manager quarterback, and Andy Dalton's had good seasons for sure, but he's never had a great quarterback there. And last year, this team looked like they were poised to win and had a lot of injuries going into the playoffs, as well as a suspension, if I'm not mistaken, that really hurt that team. So those are a huge factor. This year they lose, a lot of their offense and 2 wide receivers, and Marvin Jones and Mohamed Sanu that leave Cincinnati, and that obviously is a huge impact. 2 great not great, but 2 really good wide receivers. We saw them have good seasons this year, especially Marvin Jones for a while. He was the best wide receiver in the league when it came for 2 yards and touchdowns in the beginning of this season, before his season obviously fell off towards the end. But he was having like a crazy year. But you lose that. They had no A.J. Green for a while, which was weird because it seemed like when there wasn't an A.J. Green on the field, they were playing their best football, which doesn't make any sense at all, but I guess that's the way football goes sometimes. So for Marvin Jones, look how many guys in football can have this much regularity of getting a team to the postseason. You're talking about him, Belichick, and that might be the end of the list as far as getting their team to the postseason that regularly. But now let me get to the important stuff. No playoff wins. This team dies in the postseason, one and done every single time, in a division that has been very successful, as in the last 10, 15 years. You look, the Ravens have won Super Bowls in that time frame. The Steelers have won Super Bowls in that time frame. Obviously, the Browns have been garbage, but you're talking about a team that is in a division where they've had, this division's had a ton of success in the postseason, and they can't do anything. I think you have to at this point. If you have a guy that's taking you to the playoffs every single year and it's one and done, you give him some time because he's obviously doing something right. But after a while, you have to make a coaching change. You have to do something if he just can't get it done in the postseason. And I think it's now. And I hate to say it because I love Marvin Jones. I think he's a good football coach. But I think you'd end up needing to make the move here in Cincinnati.
Being a little biased, Steelers fan and all, I think you gotta let the guy go. You gotta let Marvin Lewis go. Look, he can't keep a disciplined team on the field. My God, he's got Vontaze Burfict and Adam Jones running around like they're the best two in the NFL. Newsflash, you're not. Luke Kuechly plays in Carolina, and God knows who the best corner is in the NFL. There's several. But as of right now, Cincinnati can't even keep a disciplined team on the field, let alone win more than 6 games this season. The fact of the matter, almost nearing a 10 straight loss in the playoffs? My God. If this was any other team in the NFL, he'd have been gone after 5. He would have been gone after 5 straight losses in the playoffs. Nobody keeps a guy after 6, 7, 8. What is the problem with this organization? Does he pay them? Does he personally pay them? Does somebody pay them to keep him? What is going on here? What is their big save with Marvin Lewis? Does nobody want the reins of this team? Because I can understand why. I mean, they're a dirty bunch. I get it. They have no discipline. I guess this guy, AJ Green, is somewhat elite. Maybe. I'm joking. He's done enough. I consider him elite. Like 4, 5, top 5. Depends. But the fact of the matter, God, he's not enough there. He's not keeping a disciplined team out there. He's not winning in the playoffs. He's not putting up winning numbers this season. What's the problem with letting him go? What do you have against it? What is the problem? Why are you holding on? What is there to hold on to?
Apparently, the ownership just loves the guy. That's what Bengals fans have told me for years. One of the guys that works with the College of the Albemarle local community college here, he does his office is over there in the YMCA where I work out at, and we talk to each other all the time. And he said, "I quit." He goes, "I've seen enough of Marvin Lewis. We need to get rid of this guy and bring in somebody who wants to take the bull by the horns and run with it." He said this team is too talented, but he said he has no control. He said he lost control of this team 5 years ago. So I mean, and this is a guy that lives in Cincinnati, is from the Cincinnati area, and says this to me on a daily basis. He goes, "I won't even watch Bengals football because Marvin Lewis is a complete fucking moron." So I mean, there you go. That's coming straight from the horse's mouth. So it's just like, I'm in the same boat with both of you guys. Let this guy go. Quit living in mediocrity. It's such a every year everybody's like, "Oh, the Bengals are going to do this. The Bengals are going to do that." Yeah, the Bengals are going to go to the playoffs and they'll lose. That's what you guys are used to. That's what you guys see. And then it's the same thing with Cowboys fans, and no disrespect to Cowboys fans, but every year, "Oh, this is our year." It's like you and the Bengals fans hang out on a regular basis or something because you can't get it done in the postseason. But let's move over to the last topic before we go into the break. Jacksonville Jaguars did, in fact, interview Tom Coughlin this week. They claim it's for the head coaching position. Other sources are saying they're hiring for president of football operations. We all know Tom Coughlin coached in Jacksonville for many years, took them to 2 AFC championship games. The guy knows football. Bringing him in the organization and helping him, whether it's up in the owner's box doing, day-to-day football operations, helping the GM out, making trades and all this, that, and the other, or even down on the sidelines again as a head coach. And I know Ryan has preached saying, "Hey, Doug Marrone coaches his team well on Sunday. He may keep this job." This can be an interesting story to follow for the next few weeks.
Absolutely. You look at last year, their division, the Tennessee Titans. A lot of people had, Josh McDaniel already written in, penciled in as the Titans' new head coach because he was super excited about the program and he was really looking forward to being there. And then all of a sudden, they decide to stick with Mularkey, which was an unpopular decision at first. But then you look at the success that Mularkey had. I mean, he took a team that won 5 games in 2 seasons, and all of a sudden they are, knocking on the playoffs door. They were, really close to making the playoffs this year, and at worst, there is going to be an 8-8 team. A huge improvement in just a year's time. And, that's what we're looking at here is the same kind of thing as a coach that really came in and has changed a lot. This team's a lot different under him than it was beforehand. Do I think it's the best idea for them? Probably not. But then again, I didn't think that Mularkey was the best decision for the Tennessee Titans, and I was obviously wrong, judging by the success that he's had this season. And I'm glad to be wrong in that scenario because obviously my team, it's changed a lot. So, I think that Marrone has put himself in the position of where he definitely deserves an interview, and definitely deserves to be considered. That's for sure. We even saw with Miami, they had the Danimal come in as their backup, as their interim head coach. He comes in, and their team really reacts to it. And he obviously didn't get the job, but they gave him an interview. We're saying, or gave him a chance to interview for this job. So I think that's what you're going to see with Marrone. He deserves to have at least an interview. If that amounts to anything, we have yet to see. Maybe it does, maybe it does not. Now, as far as Coughlin goes, I know that Coughlin wants to get back into coaching, but this is a guy that has been around forever, that I think does make a big difference for you as a football operations guy. The fact of the matter is Coughlin is very old. How much longer are you going to have this guy? How much longer is he going to be there for your team? That's the big thing for me is how long is he going to be there? How much more time does he have left? How much time does he have left before he has to retire? That's going to be big factors for me, and if you can keep him around or not. And I just think that in a more of a less coaching aspect, more working with players, working in the office, I think is less demanding, a better position for a man of his age and a man of his knowledge, really. And it gives you the chance to get a guy like Marrone, have a guy over top of him that can have a lot of success and can lead him in the right direction for the future.
Man, could we imagine a team with Tom Coughlin at the head coaching helm again? The reason I'm saying that is, if I'm not mistaken, I think the guy beat Brady twice. He and Eli Manning beat Brady and Belichick twice. I think a guy with the upside of Bortles might be a stretch. I think it is. But I think they could put on a show like Manning did. I think that defense could be a little bit better. I think that NY defense got a little bit lucky. Had a few breaks for them. I think the receivers, merely similar, Victor Cruz and Hakeem Nicks. They're merely the Allen brothers and those two guys, I think they got something going there. There's some common similarity. But, man, it's all about that. God, I think it would be nice to see. I think you let Marrone have a little insight and a little bit of pointers here and there. But I don't think I would mind Tom Coughlin again. He's old. He's really old. He's ancient. But who cares? Let him have a shot. Let him have his time. If he feels he can still do it, let him try.
I was going over some of the oldest coaches in the NFL, and hold on real quick, guys. And I just lost the site. Hold on real quickly. These are the oldest coaches in the NFL. Pete Carroll, 64. Belichick, 63. Well, he just turned 64. So Coughlin's only 70. If you look at the head coaches, 70 is not a realistic. The oldest coach in college football was 78. So 70 is not really considered old in the NFL. Guys can coach until they're, even some basketball coaches coach well into their 70s. So I would not be surprised to see him get a job and sign a 4 or 5 year contract. I still think if he is there, he's healthy, he wants to sit on the sidelines, it's going to be something that he can do.
You're talking about Belichick that's been there for,
18 years,
16
years.
Right, and he's very near the end. I think that you can tell now that I think when Brady goes, Belichick goes. And I think he's really nearing the end of his tenure. This is a guy taking over a job at 70 years old. That's the big thing is 70 is not old as an active, and still, he'd be the oldest coach in the league. So 70 is still old in the NFL, but you're 70 and just starting over with a team that won, what was it, 3 games now this season? You're starting with a team that has a lot of work ahead of it. I just don't think that's a job for a 70-year-old. You'd be the oldest man in the league, oldest coach in the league, and starting over with the franchise.
So you'd be more comfortable with him taking like the president of operations or whatever instead of sitting on the sidelines for Jacksonville?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you look at how young a lot of these coaches end up passing away. The rigors of this job, the what it demands from a person is so high. You have to be there 24/7. You have to be, you're coaching constantly, and if you're not coaching, you're talking to your scouts. You have scouts where it's, a 27, 365 job. There is no off time for a coach. For a president, it's a lot easier of a position to take over, not nearly as demanding. And I think you bring in a guy like that, and then it's kind of, you have a mentor. Look how good a lot of those coaches that came in under Bill Parcells did compared to where they did elsewhere. It's because you have a great coach, and on top that can give you a lot of help and give you a lot of, anytime you have an issue or have something you're worried about, you have a guy that you can go to and talk to and be like, hey, what do I do here? What would you do here?
All right, we are going to take a quick commercial break, come back and break down these the playoff seedings and all the possible scenarios.
Want to know how a free show stays free? Ads. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's your boy West Dog from the GF6 Show, reminding you to check us out every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, only on AlienXRadio.com. Quick shout out to the crew over at the Free Parking Show. Shout out! That's the GF6 Show. Blow it up!
This is Matt.
Glenn.
And Ryan. We are the hosts of Two Tone Uncensored. We are a Tennessee Titans podcast that has a new show every Wednesday.
You can find us on twotone.pinecast.co or by downloading the Stitcher app on your mobile device.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Two Tone Uncensored and like us on Facebook. Tighten up.
See, that wasn't that bad. Now back to the show.
Alright guys, this is where we're at. We're starting AFC first, go over the seeding, and believe it or not, I think this is a seeding that is going to stand, but these are the playoff scenarios and what we're working with, so bear with us. I'm going to try and run over this as quickly as I can. AFC current standings are Patriots 1, Raiders 2, Steelers 3, Texans 4, Chiefs 5, Dolphins 6. Alright, the only two teams that are realistically, that can really move up is New England. They need the win or a Raiders loss or tie to get that top seed. They're playing down in Miami. They're playing against a backup Matt Moore. Apparently, from what I've read, the Dolphins are going to go all out because they want to try and match up with a playoff contender to get themselves ready for the playoffs. And there is a slight outside chance that they can move up to the 5 seeded if everybody else loses on Sunday, including Kansas City. The Oakland Raiders, obviously, the only way they can win the top seed is a win and a New England loss. And I believe the Patriots are going to lose down in Miami anyway. They can also clinch the AFC West division title and keep that first round bye with an Oakland win or a Kansas City loss or tie. Speaking of the Chiefs, Kansas City can clinch the AFC West division title and a first round bye with a Kansas City win and an Oakland loss. I think the most important thing here is, as much as I like to say that the Raiders are going to lose the Broncos on Sunday night, you're looking at a poor offensive Broncos team. Matt McGloin got a little bit of action this past Sunday. I do not suspect them, because now from what I'm hearing, they're actually going to incorporate Paxton Lynch and Trevor Siemian to split reps throughout this game. So they're testing out their quarterback for the future. They're going to decide, hey, we want to keep, Paxton Lynch. It's basically who's going to stay and who's going to go in terms of that. I think they're just toying around with this roster a little bit, getting prepared for next season. So that's where they're standing at there. I actually think these seedings are going to stay intact where they're at. I mean, I don't think, God forbid, Kansas City goes into San Diego and loses on Sunday, and then everything else gets shifted. But I think they're pretty legit with these seedings. Ryan, what do you think?
I see some changes. The big one, I think that Oakland is going to lose this weekend. And I think that Kansas City's going to win, and that means Kansas City will take over that number 2 spot, and we'll see the Raiders drop to number 5. I just have no faith at all in Matt McGloin. I really don't think that he can really provide a lot for them. He's one of the worst backups in the league, just to put it that way. He's not a good backup. He's going to struggle a lot against, the best pass defense in the league, probably the best defense, bar none, in the league. And it's going to be a tough road for them to win that game, and that'll bounce the Chiefs up. So in the AFC, I think that's the only change that I really see. Everybody else is pretty much locked in where they're at, and I don't really foresee any changes.
Quite frankly, I don't think I see any changes at all. I don't see Oakland losing. I really don't. I think this Denver team has no C.J. Anderson. Trevor Siemian is not playing good football late in the year when you have to play good football. I think Kansas City can still win, but I think Oakland's going to win. I don't think Denver has enough on offense to get through Oakland. It's low scoring. McGloin doesn't do well, but they come out. I think they come out alive. Kansas, whoever they play, they'll still play a good game.
Chargers.
Jeez. Thanks for letting me in on that one. Kansas wins big. Oakland wins small. No changes. I'm happy with these standings the way they are.
Now let me ask you guys a question real quick. Do you think out of anybody, what do they call him, Blackjack Del Rio, that he's going to risk actually tanking this game on purpose? Because if they do fall to the 5 seed, then they would travel to Houston and play a pitiful Texans team?
No, because you either play a Texans team or you get a first round bye, and obviously you'd rather get the bye than play anybody.
I'm kind of sticking with Ryan here. I would much rather take a week, settle down, get Matt in an offense that maybe isn't so pass heavy. Get out of the pass heavy scheme, get some zone blocking schemes going, make it to where you don't have to open up just one hole to run through. Maybe switch it up a little bit, make the passing second rate. Kind of work Latavius Murray, work DeAndre Washington, just work them. Make sure these guys can understand that, hey, our offense has to be kind of run heavy now. We don't have Derek anymore, guys. I'm sorry. You guys can't be the superstars right now.
So
Derek made you guys.
So just get stumped by the Steelers in the second round. Gotcha. Let's move over to the NFC real quickly before we get out of here. These are a little bit more in terms of trying to explain this. Here we go. Dallas is the 1 seed no matter what. They've clinched. The 2 through 6 is where it gets a little bit tricky. Number 2 right now is Atlanta. Number 3 is Seattle. 4 Green Bay. 5 the Giants. 6 the Lions. Atlanta Falcons. We'll start there. This is how it gets a little tricky now. Atlanta can clinch the first round bye with a win, or Atlanta tie and a Seattle loss, or tie. Seattle lost, Detroit lost, or tie. Seattle tied, Detroit lost. So there's a bunch of factors factoring into the NFC. Like I said, it's a little bit more murky, but we're going to try and work our way through this one. Seattle can clinch the first round bye with a Seattle win or Atlanta loss or tie, or Seattle tie, Atlanta loss, Green Bay, Detroit tie. It's kind of easy, but I don't suspect any ties on Sunday, but we're just going to say them anyway just in case to cover our basis. Green Bay can clinch the North Division title with a Green Bay win or a tie, which is weird. They can clinch a playoff berth with a Washington loss or Washington tie Green Bay, and it just goes on and on and on with the whole thing. And then the note here is Green Bay clinches a tie in the strength of victory tiebreaker over Tampa Bay. So it's just a complete mess in the NFC. Detroit's in if they win the division. They actually flex the Detroit Packers game into Sunday night, and I think the Packers are going to pummel them badly. I think it's going to be like a two score victory. Matt Stafford is just not the same. But we're going to pick those games on Saturday. So I'm actually this is what I think is going to happen. Washington wins, they're going to make the playoffs no matter what. So I think that you're going to see Washington actually take the seed, and the Lions are going to completely fall off. And then I'm just going to leave the seeding where it is. I think Atlanta is going to complete. They're playing. I believe they're playing New Orleans. So I could see Seattle moving up to the 2 or 3, but I still think it's. I think you're going to see the first 5 teams. Those are in, but I think with the Detroit loss, I believe Washington will beat the Giants on Sunday, and they're going to take that 6th seed.
Yeah, I think first I think Atlanta's going to win, so that clinches that for them. And then you move down. For me, I think it stays the same in the top 30, and then you move down to Green Bay and the Lions. And I don't know just yet. Matt Stafford did look a lot better in this performance as he has in the weeks previous. Since the thumb injury, but still a tough one to call. I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way, though, just because it's, divisional matchup between 2 really good teams. But if the Lions win that, obviously, that 4 spot, for me, there's no motivation for the Giants because you can't move up or down. So for the Giants is they can keep the Redskins out. That's the only thing. I think what happens is the Lions do pull off a win. They jump to 4, and Green Bay jumps down to 6, and that'll be the only change.
Man, the NFC craziness rarely wins the big one, but no for matter. Number one, I agree. Atlanta wins. I think Seattle wins. They'll stay there. The big one, I'm gonna differentiate from Ryan. I think Aaron Rodgers goes in, pulls out a sheriff's pistol, and throws the ball everywhere. He gives Jordy a few. He gives Devontae Adams a few. He kind of slights Jared Cook a little. But, nonetheless, I think Green Bay wins. I think standings stay the same. I don't mind it. I wish Dallas was 4. I really do. I hate seeing Dallas get a bye week. Really do. I want to see them play the Giants again. God, they'd lose again. They would.
So keep this in mind, fellas. No 13-win team has ever won the Super Bowl. So you look at the 2 number 1 seeds, New England and Dallas. Dallas is apparently going to go to Mark Sanchez at some point, and I do suspect that the Patriots go to Tom Brady at some point. You have got to win these football games, because if Dallas ends up losing this game and they fall to 13-3, I'm not even going to pick them to win the Super Bowl just because of that history mark. That's one that's probably never going to be like they call it the curse of 13. Same with New England. I probably wouldn't even pick them to win the Super Bowl, but it's just something to look forward to. So you guys actually don't. Ryan, you think Washington's going to beat the Giants, and Mitch, you don't. I'm just trying to clarify that up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that the Giants have nothing to play for. They can't change their seed, and they can't drop out. So the only motivation for them is to knock the Redskins out, and that's really not motivation enough. I don't think you see them start very many people. For those people that are listening tonight, for fantasy advice, I would tell you to start no Giants. OBJ needs to be on your bench. Eli needs to be on your bench. You do not start a Giant this weekend, because I think they're going to rest up, get ready for the playoffs.
To go right along with Ryan, don't start a Steeler. Do not start a Steeler.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I think Mike Tomlin already ruled out Ben, Bell, and Brown. He basically them 3 aren't even playing.
I wouldn't start. I mean, get yourself a Matt Ryan. Get yourself a Taylor Gabriel. Get yourself a Devontae Freeman.
The biggest question is, does Dallas go ahead and play their starters the whole game, or do they rest them?
I think you see them rest them. There's no reason for them to start them and get your guys ready. Just get healthy.
Rest them. You got... I'll say it again, Rich. You and me both agree on it. The team to... Dallas is not the team to beat in the NFC. Atlanta is.
Ryan is different than us. I think Ryan and Peter were both... it was a whole 4-way. It was a 2-on-2 argument over Atlanta. I'm actually picking Atlanta to win the NFC this year as well.
Dallas is not... I don't think they're worthy of the 1 seed. Yeah, they have the best record, but I don't see them as dominant. I get it. They score a lot. They run well. But just something about them says, hey, don't buy high on the Cowboys. You can buy high on Atlanta. You can buy high on Seattle. You can buy high on Green Bay. Hell, I'd even buy high on the Giants. I'd buy high on the Giants. They beat the Cowboys.
Oh, I would too. The Giants, the Vikings, the blueprint has been laid out to beat the Cowboys. It's just a lot of teams that they have not played yet They don't match up well against Dallas, obviously. If you look at what the Giants have done this year, they have went and built a team that can beat the Cowboys. Can't beat like anyone else, but hey, we can beat the Dallas Cowboys. So if we can get past this first round bye and somehow the 6th seed loses, we're going to go to Dallas, in that second round. And, the now Washington would go to Washington would travel to Seattle. Nobody's going to beat Seattle in Seattle. So I still think you're set up for an NFC divisional game between the Giants and the Cowboys. I just see that whoever is playing, you look at that opening round, 3 seed Seattle hosting whoever the 6 seed is, whether it's the Redskins or whether it's the Packers or whether it's the Lions, they're going to win in Seattle. Nobody wants to go to Seattle in playoff time. There's only 3 stadiums in this league that you can say, hey, we don't want to play there. That's Seattle, Green Bay, and New England. I mean, it's just the way it goes. I mean, Ryan, do you kind of agree with that we probably are going to see Giants Cowboys round 3 in the divisional round?
I think it's a high possibility. I'm a lot higher on the Cowboys than you both are. But one thing that we can all agree on is this Giants team's dangerous.
Yep.
This Giants team's very dangerous in the playoffs. They are a very balanced team. They come after the quarterback. The secondary has really stepped up this year. Janoris Jenkins is having a career-type year. Eli Manning, as much as we all like to rag on him, he's still a good quarterback. You have a fantastic, probably the best wide receiving core in football from top to bottom in New England. The running game is really the only thing that you can point out and be like, that's a real weakness for this team. They do it a lot well on this football team. They're a team that I wouldn't want to play any of those NFC teams. If I'm playing New York, I'd be scared. And that's from top to bottom. It doesn't matter who you are. I'd be scared to play that Giants team. They're a tough team, and they know what it takes to get there. Eli Manning knows what it takes to win a Super Bowl. This team is scary. For me, Atlanta scares me a lot less. Seattle is dependent on the running game. Atlanta's defense is a liability. Green Bay's
not since week 11. Since week 11, they have
since week 11, who have they played?
Doesn't matter. They're still shutting teams down.
Well, yeah, it's
Ryan.
really easy to shut down garbage teams. But when their defense is a liability. Seattle's really dependent on the running game. Green Bay's really up and down. The Lions, like Matt Stafford's finger, their defense also a liability. There's stuff that you can definitely find with each team. Dallas's defense not that good. There's stuff in the really young core to that team. There's stuff that you can find about like each team that's like big flaws. For the Giants, I don't see one. I think the Giants are, in my opinion, the scariest team in the NFC going into the playoffs.
Hey Ryan, got a serious question for you. Okay, Orlando Scandrick, Morris Claiborne, and Barry Church. What do they have in common?
Besides the team, I don't know.
They're injured starters. Do you see what that
Right.
is? That is 3 of their 4 starting secondary. I get it, they're winning, but who have they played?
Right, they have benefited from an easier schedule this season, but they've put away everybody that's not New York this season. I mean, there's no team that has played Dallas and come out on the bright side. Plus, Dallas plays – their scheme makes everyone weak against them because they just take the ball out of your hands. So you have to be a team that consistently scores or can shut down the running game. There's no defense right now in the NFC in this – we're looking at these NFC standings that can shut down this Dallas running game. There's some, like Seattle's one that can definitely slow it down. Giants can definitely slow it down, but there's none that can stop it. And if they can keep you off of the ball, then you're only going to have, 4 or 5 drives in a whole game. And if they can methodically move the ball, that's what we're seeing. Is we're not seeing a team that's, way better than everybody else. We're seeing a team that has the exact right players to play the exact right scheme that's so dangerous. Dallas is a well-coached team that runs a perfect scheme and has the perfect offensive line and the perfect running back in order to do it.
My thing with the Falcons, before we get out of here, and I'm going to say it like this. What is the one thing you want to do if you want to beat the Cowboys is eliminate the runs. Atlanta is the team. Atlanta, actually, Green Bay now all of a sudden has been able to hang 30 or 40 on people left and right. You go out and jump on the Dallas Cowboys quick and you jump on them early and force Dallas to throw the football, that's a game. Dak Prescott is not a quarterback that I want to get into a shootout with Matt Ryan, freaking Aaron Rodgers, Eli Manning, and believe it or not, and that's not a knock on Eli, but we've seen Eli may be one of the worst regular season quarterbacks to ever play the game. When this kid gets in the playoff, there's like ice in his veins, and it's like you said, he's the most dangerous quarterback out of all this entire group, just because he can come out there and light your ass up. And it's just remarkable what this kid does in the postseason. Matt Ryan, on the other hand, it's a little flip-flop, but this Atlanta team has quietly become one of the most explosive offenses in league history, and that, they're flying under the radar. And that's what my only concern is, and that's not saying that this Dallas team has not been great and been able to what they do, but if you get out on them Cowboys 14, 21-point lead early on, and you're forcing Dak Prescott to throw the ball, we saw him a few weeks ago when they were playing Tampa Bay, overthrowing guys, underthrowing guys. You're going to get that defense off the field. You're taking away the run pretty much. And that's what I think Atlanta has a slight edge over there because they're ranked 30th in the pass. Atlanta's going to come out there and they're going to throw the football and not be afraid of the Cowboys at all. That's why I think this Atlanta team maybe, because we see the Giants, they're a little bit suspect offensively. They have not put anything together. And you look at this Atlanta team, they're not going to try and be. You don't have to have good defense in the NFC. That's one thing that they were saying. You have to have an offense that can score points because in the AFC is majority of it's built on defense. You don't see a lot of NFC powerhouse teams outside of maybe Atlanta, now Green Bay. You see Dallas been able to move the football, but if Atlanta comes in there, puts 14, 21 points on them early because they're an ability to stop the pass, and then you add Devontae Freeman and Telvin Coleman in there, and they continue to move this football and force Dak Prescott to throw it, it may be you're going to see if Dak Prescott is really the answer that the Cowboys fans have been seeing, because I just don't know that he's going to be the quarterback to say, hey, we're down 21 points. I want you to go in there and win us a football game, because he doesn't throw the ball effectively downfield that well unless he has to. But it's like I said, Atlanta's just so fast and they score so many points. Dallas likes playing at this slower paced offense, and that's what may be coming into play with this game. And I'm not saying that Dallas can't beat Atlanta, but it's just something that obviously that I've noticed that may cause a little bit of concern for them.
That's the key to beating this Dallas team, is you have to be able to score and put them under, not just score a touchdown, but put them under early. But that's the thing that makes them so hard to beat, is it's really hard to put them under early, because even if you score fast, Dallas's next drive is going to be 8 minutes long. You know what I mean? It's so hard to put them under early because you're never going to have the ball for very long. They've really made time of possession important again. And that's the way that they're going to operate. So for a defense to have success, they're going to have to shut the run down. I think Green Bay has the ability to do it, and we've seen them do it at times this year where they really shut down the run. And they are ranked really high in rush defense. But if you look in their division, the teams that they have to play constantly, it's a Vikings team that can't run the ball to save their life. It's it's a Lions team that never, it's been since Barry Sanders since they've had a good running back that. And their system just isn't good for running backs. You have to catch the ball out of the backfield to have good stats as a Lions running back. And then Jordan Howard's had a good year, a good decent year for the Bears, on a bad Bears team. The teams that they have to play regularly aren't great at the run, and that really, I think, bolstered Green Bay's rush defense numbers. And I just don't see them being able to stop. The real key is not getting to Ezekiel Elliott, not stopping him, because this offensive line is just hands down by far the best in football. And it's going to take a lot just to be able to get him. When he gets, 4 yards down the field before the first defender gets a handle on him, and then Zeke's talent, normally that's a broken tackle. So, it's a 7-yard gain. It's just so hard to stop a team that can block this well. It really shows you how important an offensive line is how good this Dallas team's done this year.
The way to stop Dallas, real easy. Keep the offense off the field. Keep the time of possession. Possession, you keep Dallas off the field, you beat them. Now
you're going to have to play their ball exactly. That would work.
I feel like, stopping Zeke is huge. God, I miss Zeke in Ohio. But that's a whole nother story. But how about keep him off the field? How about don't score right away? You score right away, you're already beat. But eat away at that defense. It's hard to say don't score right away because that secondary's weak. Because a guy like Julio or OBJ, God, those guys burn that defense. I'm going to call it right now. They burn those. They burn those second stringers. They really do.
And they run the football well.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If you can keep them off the field, keep that time of possession down, I think that makes Dallas vulnerable. That makes them widely vulnerable. Because they simply can't get their offense on the field. If you keep your offense on the field, I'm not saying waste plays, but shorten your expectations per play. Maybe go under 7 to 10 yards a play. Maybe go 4 to 6 a play. Keep them stats kind of short, but keep drives going. Because the more clock you eat, that's more time Dak, Zeke, Dez, and Jason Witten, them guys just don't have time to come out and put on a show. Best way to beat a team in that NFC this year is eat the time of possession. That's my best advice for any team in the NFC.
Yeah, and another thing is they're going to be able to get after Dak Prescott as well. Vic Beasley, league-leading sack rusher. They create a lot of holes, create a lot of pressure. So it should be an entertaining game if that comes to play. That's about all the time we have for tonight. Closing thoughts, guys?
Yeah, the Jags stole Christmas this year. It sucks.
I'll end with a little personal note. Okay. At the beginning of the year, I called for my favorite team among my personal friends. I called for 13-3. I'll settle for 11-5. I like 11-5. I don't mind it. I like the third seed, and I hope I get a Pittsburgh-Oakland. I hope I get that game. I'm upset that I don't see Derek. I wanted it so bad. I wanted Ben versus Carr. But all in all, I'm riding the Steelers out for the playoffs. I think they have a hefty chance. I think this playoff season is going to be a good one.
And for me, before I get out of here, Mavericks game on TV playing the Lakers. Everyone enjoy the rest of the week. We will be on Saturday morning for the pregame show, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless that changes. We are out of here. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thanks for listening to the Free Parking Show. To hear more of the show, check out www.freeparking.com.